case, Randolph Winters. These are over 15 tapes portraying the entire knowledge, practically, of Billy Meyer, what he wrote down during his 40 years that he was in contact apparently with these Pleiadians from the Pleiades, oder Plejaden auf Deutsch. I suggest you watch one of them, or if you want to know more about this, that you watch these videos. I've started watching them, and it's pretty interesting. It's incredible, actually. Edward Albert Meier, or his nickname Billy Meyer, The Truth About the Pleiades, or the Plejaden in German, the Plejaden. It's practically a story of somebody, a contactee in Switzerland, who's been having contact with ETs who look like Aryans, well, Nordic type people, mostly blonde, from the Pleiades, from the star system of the Pleiades. Pleiades from Wikipedia. The Pleiades, or Seven Sisters, is an open star cluster containing middle-aged hot beast type stars located in the constellation of Taurus. It is amongst the nearest star clusters to Earth, and it is the cluster most obvious to the naked eye in the night sky. And it is from here. There's a picture, a color composite picture of the Pleiades, and it is practically in the Taurus constellation. And according to the Zayahan revelations, or the Zayahan prophecies of King Nebuchadnezzar, and even the so-called Isaiah's revelations, we will get help from our brothers and sisters, from the Taurus constellation. So even in these ancient writings of the revelations of Isaiah, yes, Google Isaiah's Offenbarung in German, it states practically that we will get help from our brothers and sisters coming from the Taurus constellation, or the Pleiades. And this book describes practically Billy Meyer, or Edward Albert Meier, describes in detail his life. It's a short book, so around 140 pages, 195 pages. And describes practically the life of of Billy Meyer, how he practically got in contact as a small child with Aryans from the Pleiades. It even goes on to tell even that he gets picked up and that he flies with them in these crafts. At the same time, the author tries to tell you that there is a propaganda war going against him, that people who believe in him and people who do not believe in him, because apparently there were also fake pictures among his 1,000 plus pictures that he delivered, and video footage, even medals that are practically special mixes, that special alloys that only that do not exist on planet Earth or have not been designed. That's what he also provided: alloys, pictures, and transmedial information in the form of over 40 books, all describing practically the reality of this other universe, or this other galaxy, or this other star system, or this dimension or reality where these Pleiades come from. He describes Azket, Semjase, those two female contacts that he had in the course of over 11 years, and he also fought an older person around the 70 Erden years, but apparently over 1,000 years up there. So apparently they can get really old, although we are practically from their same race, or the same ancestors. That's what they describe. And that practically old civilizations were always in contact with ET civilizations, and that this practically also concerned them in their reality, or their universe, their Dal universe as an example. They even talk of sister universes, or so-called mirror universes. I don't know how far this is. I did not study all the entire material. Nevertheless, you can order practically the Semjase's transmitted transcripts from the FIGU website. I'll put the link below. And you can study this material. Now, how big is the probability that he has so much knowledge that he writes this all down, over 40 books, over 1,000 pictures, and apparently depicting that he is in contact with these extraterrestrials, how high is the probability that he just creates this all for fun, to get attention, to make money out of, whereas he was always poor and practically tried to make ends meet. He was just practically a farmer in Switzerland, and nobody ever believed him, and they put him in the psychiatry because he said this in his youth, that he was in contact with extraterrestrials. So how high is the probability that he's making this up, he's crazy, or is it really that he's in contact? For me, the Imperial Germans is a reality. I believe in extraterrestrials. I know that the shadow government of the United States is secretly in contact with Greys and reptilian Draco race. I believe in that as well. So when a contactee now in Switzerland states that he was in contact with aliens from the Pleiades since 60 years, since 1944, and Jan Nurahaldi or Jan Ben Helzig tells me then that there were contacts to the Third Reich, High Command, from the Aldebaran Aliens who were also there in contact, also from the Pleiades. It's the Taurus constellation. It's the same region of space, maybe two different parts of the same elements behind it. Who knows? I read the book. The videos are incredible, actually, what they have to say. Sometimes they even talk of the Jewish Zionists. In the Prophecies video, they even talk of the Jewish Zionists, Randolph Winters. So I believe he knows. I believe he knows. And that the Zionists are in power and that they're struggling to keep it that power and instigate war after war after war. So I suggest, it's in German, this book, sadly. The most incredible concept, of course, in this book is the concept of time travel. Is it possible? I, for myself, knew that energy can move independent of time. So I had these visions, practically, and saw practically energy move back independent from it. So I knew that energy already was time independent, or could move within the timeline. And if you change practically matter into energy, then theoretically you could get that matter back into time. Billy Meyer, or Edward Albert Meier, states practically in the book that he went back to the 13th century. And that he actually landed back in that time frame. And then he describes how this happened. They went into the time ship, they went upwards, really high altitude, and then within a fraction of a second, the entire ship and its people was dematerialized into energy, and this energy was pressed back in time, went back in time and rematerialized. Now, you can only think if time travel is possible in this respect, then everything what already happened in the future is mirrored back in time, and everything what happened already is already happened. We are living in the altered timeline. That is what I'm trying to say. So if somebody in the future travels back in time, just think about it. It's a mental game. It's a mental game. If somebody in the future travels back in time, it already happened. So all future travels back in time, be it now from ET civilizations, or be it from the Imperial Germans, or be it now from the Montauk Project, from the US shadow government. Oh, the so-called Philadelphia experiment, and Al Bielek, is practically manipulations of the timeline. But these manipulations already happened in the past, so we are living in the altered timeline already. And at the same time, you do not think that if you go back in time and drop an iPad or a MacBook or whatever, it will not change the so-called time that is needed to build up the industries to build that technology. So if you drop a camcorder in the Middle Ages, they will not jumpstart and become a super modern civilization. It will still take the amount of time to research the production procedures to actually create a so-called camcorder or a MacBook or a software or any type of technology. You need the time that it develops to actually go through the time to develop that technology. So if you drop technology in the Middle Ages, this will not mean that it will jumpstart in the Middle Ages, that it will jumpstart and become a spacefaring civilization within decades. Now you might argue if the time travel is possible, why don't they go back and avoid all wars? What if this is not possible? What if you cannot influence the reality back then because it is a huge reality that is going on? So you cannot influence it. If you can send back one unit this World War II to prevent World War II, it doesn't work. Maybe it already tried. Maybe the future already tried to change the past. It's an interesting mind game. Nevertheless, it keeps your mind focused. I believe he's real. He's in real contact with extraterrestrials, because they talk about prophecies as well, and they can go inside the ship and view practically on the view screens the future of Billy Meyer as an example. They told him, took him on the ship when he was younger, and they showed him, yeah, this is where you're going to go outside to India and study. This is when you're going to meet your wife. This is when they already knew practically like a video, like a footage or like a movie video of his entire life. And they have practically technology to view the timeline. Where is it all going? And practically some of his videos or some of his books go over prophecies over the Third World War and the messianic figure that he depicts as Emmanuel, or the so-called Jesus Christ figure, that he will come and practically end this war once and for all. Practically like Judgment Day in the Bible. So I came to the same insight. Yeah? I came to the same insight that the US shadow government has been in contact with ET since at least the end of World War II. And that the Imperial Germans were also in contact with benevolent ETs, the so-called Federation of Light, or the Pleiades, from the Aldebaranic Aryans, or the Pleiades, that these factors are already in play. And that the Zionists are in contact with negative entities, even negative spiritual entities. They sacrifice children to this day to satisfy the gods, or their evil overlords. This is all reality. And now this extra energy can move back in time. I knew that out of insight, because sometimes I felt echoes from the future. If you can change yourself, matter into energy, then you can put it back in time and rematerialize. Now, I don't know. Maybe the future will tell if this is possible. I'm gonna watch the movie Interstellar. Hopefully there's something interesting in it. I've heard already that many liked it a lot. It's like Inception or metaphysical realities. I always like these type of movies. I'm gonna check it out and maybe I have a special insight. Anyhow, I wanted to make a video about the truth about the Pleiades from Billy Meyer, a contactee in Switzerland that has been in contact since 1944, and that has a little bit over 1,000 pictures, multiple videos, even sound recordings of the spacecraft coming by, witnesses, over 30 witnesses, even all these 30 witnesses actually have it on record and have it notarially begläubigt, well, in front of a court of law. They said it that it's notified, that they confessed that they've seen it, they've seen the ships, they believe Billy Meyer, and that is at the same time the forces that be that rule over us, the Zionists, don't want this to come out because it destroys the official dogmatic view systems we have from our schools, universities and TV. We have to open up our minds to the possibility of the impossible, actually. Like time travel, or ETs, or spacecrafts. I believe that this galaxy is full of life, and that there is over 300 UFOs recordings every day, apparently worldwide, that there is practically an entire exchange in spacecraft from the inner Earth, from the hollow Earth to the outside of the Earth, to the Moon, to the Mars, to the Federation of Light, to the the Aryans from the Pleiades and Aldebaran. That it is all out there, and that there is practically in South America the Imperial German bases, the inner Earth colony of New Swabia, with its capital city New Berlin, 1.5 million or 3 million people apparently, that these colonies exist, that the inner Earth is more than alive, and that these 300 UFO cases that are seen globally every day are practically the visualization or seeing that there's an exchange, that there is traffic in the airs and in space. According to Jan Hauli, Unternehmen Aldebaran, he portrays a different view on the life in Aldebaran, but maybe this is an entire different kingdom within the Aryan populations that live out there. What I wanted to add is that energy, you have to look energy like water. It's finer in density, nevertheless it's there, and it goes through everything. And energy practically can move back in time or can move back into the future. So souls are energy forms that theoretically can move back in time. Anyhow, I hope you enjoyed this video. Cheers!